I've been telling people for a while to keep their eyes on Idaho. They've been passing crazy ass laws and nobody's paying attention to them. I get it. It's a small state. Doesn't have that many people. But this came out. This came out from the Washington Post today. It was written by Karin Brulliard. Let me go ahead and show you. A young teen gives birth. Idaho's parental consent law snags her care. A 13-year-old goes into the emergency room. She's pregnant. She's having contractions. The doctors really want to help her. They really want to help her. But there was a law that was in place. And not the total AB ban that they tried to do a couple years back. But it's a law. They called it the Band-Aid law. And that's a nickname for it. It's basically where if a child underneath the age of 18 needs anything done, whether it's psychiatric help or even something as small as like a Band-Aid, whether it's at school or in the hospital, you need parental care. You need parental consent. This kid got pregnant at 12 years old. Her mother lives in a car. Her grandmother, who has full parental rights, is incarcerated. And only a few days ago, her aunt got custody of her. Her aunt brought her to the emergency room. And what happened next is that little girl was literally having contractions for hours on end because they were trying to figure out who had parental consent. Who was the guardian? Legal guardian. Turns out it was the grandmother who was in jail. And it took hours to get a hold of her. Turns out she actually didn't have the baby that night. But she came back another day. And guess what? The same thing. They had issues trying to figure out who was the legal guardian of her. Because like an ER does, they usually rotate doctors. Same fucking thing the next day. Eventually, she was able to give birth. It was a full term, no complications. Lucky for her, right? She's fucking 13 years old by the time she gave birth to her child. A child gave birth to a fucking child. There's another story of a boy having an allergic reaction. He goes to the ER. They can't get a hold of his parents. You know why? Because his parents are out of the fucking country. By the time they get a hold of him, he's already in anaphylactic shock. I know about this law because they were flirting around with this law before I left Idaho. And I talked about it on my previous TikTok account. Then I closed it. And I just forgot about Idaho. I put it in the past. I live in South Carolina now. But I'm hearing so much shit coming out from Idaho that is heartbreaking. Idaho is red. It's a hard red. There's probably less than 0.5% of the legislature that is Democrat there. Even the attorney general there in Idaho is a fucking Republican. She couldn't have an AB because they have a near total AB ban. The only way that you can get an AB in Idaho is that at the life of the mother, not even through grape or incest, which at 13 years old, that's fucking grape. You can boil it this way or that way, but it's still fucking grape. So not only does she have to go ahead and have the baby full term, but when she was having contractions at like 6 months into her pregnancy, where there could have been life-altering complications, They couldn't get a hold of the legal guardian. I remember when Idaho was trying to push this on the parents, they were saying, you have to be involved with the care. We won't give care unless you give consent. From a Band-Aid up to going into the emergency room. You should be there. But the problem is, not all parents are there. Hopefully this article gets national recognition and Idaho can actually strip away this law. It's a fucking horrible law. But don't be fooled. What's happening in Idaho, what's happening in Texas, they're keeping their eyes on that. Republicans are keeping their eyes on these two states. Right now, the total AB ban, the reason why it didn't go through is because of EMTALA, EMTALA. And that was like, there's so many fucking articles about this, but nobody's really talking about it. This was actually a total AB ban that actually reached the Supreme Court of the land of the United States back in June. But nobody really noticed. That's the only reason why the total AB ban was struck down, because of EMTALA. Parents, I'm telling you, I saw through this bullshit when I lived in Idaho, just before I moved. I talked about it on my previous TikTok account. Nobody really listened. And then it went through, and guess what? Kids are almost being unalived because of this damn bill. A 13-year-old had to give birth to a child, to a baby, because she couldn't get the proper health care. Look, if you haven't voted, I urge you to look at that article. And what I want you to do is go ahead and look at Idaho's legislative laws that have been passed in the last 5 to 10 years. They're fucking crazy. There's one about LGBT people and trans kids. It's dangerous living in Idaho. It's fucking dangerous. And not only that, it's a sundown state. If you're on the fence of who you want to vote for, look into your heart. Pray to whoever you need to pray to. Think about it. But also ask yourself, if you're in Idaho, you have a child, and that child gets in a car wreck, and they get rushed to the hospital, but they're not serious yet. The lawyers are pretty much like, should we go ahead and help them yet? But you are like at a concert, you have your phone off. They won't do anything until it's literally last second of life. They need your consent. Do you want that? Do you fucking want that? I'm getting angry because I lived there for over 13 plus years. I've seen how shitty that state is. I've seen the good and I've seen the bad. And now we're seeing the examples of the really, really bad. And I'm really hoping that Idaho will fix itself. Because if not, that state is literally like, nobody cares for that state. And if nobody cares for that state, who's going to care for the kids? And who's going to care for the trans kids? Who's going to care for that 13-year-old girl that the article was specifically about? Getting pregnant at 13 years old. That's fucking horrible. You're 13 years old. And you have to deal with raising a kid in a broken home where she's probably between then and the ages of 18, she's probably going to be moved around again in foster care and everything. Vote blue. This country is too fucked up. Vote blue.